Hi and welcome back to our page. So, you found the perfect candidate, great interview, good experience and positive attitude. You send off their reference request to their previous employer and what comes back? Name, job title, dates of employment, that's it. No performance information, no conduct details, no information of whether they were good, bad, or somewhere in between. Sound familiar? Well, it's happening more and more, and providers are left wondering, is this a red flag? Can I still hire this person? And how do I stay compliant with CQC if I can't get a full reference? This is really an important topic, so let me walk you through exactly how to handle it. First, let's understand why employers are giving dates-only references. And it's not always a bad sign. Many large organisations have a corporate policy of only confirming dates of employment. It's a risk management decision. They're worried about defamation claims if they say something negative, or discrimination claims if a reference is perceived as unfair. Their legal teams have told them that the safest approach is to stick to the facts and nothing else. Some smaller organisations do the same, not because they have anything bad to say, but because they don't have the time or resources to complete detailed reference forms. The person filling in the reference might not have directly managed the employee and doesn't feel qualified to comment on their performance. And yes, in some cases, a dates-only reference is a way of saying something without actually saying anything. It can be an employer's way of not giving a bad reference whilst also not giving a good one. But you cannot assume that. You need a process for dealing with it properly, rather than jumping to conclusions. Let's look at what CQC actually requires. Under Regulation 19, Fit and Proper Persons Employed, you must follow the recruitment requirements set out in Schedule 3 of the Health and Social Care Act 2008, Regulated Activities, Regulations 2014. Schedule 3 requires you to obtain evidence of conduct in previous employment concerned with the provision of services relating to health or social care, or children or vulnerable adults. In plain English, you need to find out whether there was any conduct issues in their previous care roles, particularly anything related to safeguarding. Schedule 3 also requires a full employment history with satisfactory written explanation of any gaps, and satisfactory information about any other matters that the provider considers relevant to the role. Now, here's the important part. Schedule 3 doesn't say you must have a detailed reference from every previous employer. What it says is that you must obtain the relevant information. If the standard reference route does not provide that information, you need to find other ways to get it. And you need to document everything you do try. CQC is looking for evidence that you've made every reasonable effort to verify a person's suitability. They're not going to penalise you because someone else refused to cooperate with your reference request. But they will penalise you if you did nothing about it and just hired the person anyway without doing any further checks. Right, so here's the step-by-step process I recommend when you receive a date-only reference. Step 1. Document the reference received. Log the date you sent the request, the date you received the response, and what was provided. And what wasn't provided as well. And keep a copy of everything. 2. Follow up by telephone. Call the previous employer and ask to speak to the candidate's direct line manager or supervisor. Explain that you're recruiting for a CQC regulated care role and that you needed to verify certain information under Schedule 3. Specifically, ask whether there were any safeguarding concerns, any disciplinary matters, and any conduct issues, and the reason for leaving. Some employers who will not put things in writing will be more forthcoming on the phone. Record the date and time of the call, who you spoke to, and what was said. This is verbal verification, and CQC accepts it as part of your reference checking process. Step 3. If the phone call doesn't yield additional information, send a follow-up email or letter specifically asking about what safeguarding and conduct. Make it clear that you're asking because you're legally required to do so under the Health and Social Care Act. Some employers respond differently when they understand the regulatory context. 4. Request additional references. Ask the candidate for a character reference from someone who's known them for at least 3 years. This could be a colleague from the previous role, a professional contact, or someone in a position of trust in their community. Character reference doesn't replace an employment reference, but it adds to the overall picture. Step 5. Have a conversation with the candidate themselves. Sit down with them and ask directly whether there were any issues at their previous employment, however minor, and ask why they left. Ask whether there's a reason why the employment might not provide a detailed reference, and document this conversation and have the candidate sign it. People are more often open than you would expect, and this conversation can reveal important context. Step 6. Write a risk assessment. Pull together everything you've gathered, the dates-only reference, the verbal verification attempts, the additional character references, and the candidate conversation, and write a formal risk assessment. Assess the overall risk of employing this person based on all available evidence. Set out the control measures, such as probationary period with enhanced supervision, closer monitoring during the first few weeks, and regular check-ins. This risk assessment is your safety net. If an inspector asks about this person's recruitment file and sees a dates-only reference, they'll also see the documented evidence of everything you did to mitigate the gap. And that's what compliance looks like. Now, I want to raise something that I feel strongly about, and I think the sector needs to have a serious conversation about it as well. As care providers, we all have a duty of care to the people we support. And part of that duty of care extends to how we handle references for people who leave our service. If someone worked for you and there was genuine safeguarding concerns and another provider asked for a reference, what is your responsibility on this? I believe we have a professional obligation to be transparent. This doesn't mean writing damaging references based on personal opinions. It means being factual and honest. If there are safeguarding concerns, disciplinary matters, or significant conduct issues, the next employer needs to know. Not to punish the individual, but to protect the people they'll be supporting. Hiding behind a dates-only policy when you know there are genuine concerns, in my view, is a failure of duty of care. And I think there should be clear guidance from regulators on this point, because the current situation leaves people vulnerable. On the flip side, if someone was a perfectly good worker, but the relationship broke down for other reasons, there's no excuse for refusing a reference. That person shouldn't be punished by having their career damaged because of a personality clash or a management issue. Provide the factual reference, confirm their role and conduct, and let them move on. So, to bring this together, a dates-only reference isn't the end of the world. It's increasingly common, and it doesn't automatically mean something is wrong. What matters is what you do next. Follow the process. Document everything, make the phone calls, get additional references, and have the conversation with the candidate. Write the risk assessment, and during their first few weeks, supervise closely and monitor carefully. CQC doesn't expect perfection in recruitment. They expect you to demonstrate that you have made every reasonable effort to ensure the person is fit and proper for the role, and that where gaps exist, you've identified and managed any possible risks. If you can evidence all of that, you're in a strong position. And to all the providers out there who are also employers, think about the references you give when your staff move on. Be factual, be fair, and remember your duty of care to the people being supported in other services. We're all in this together. If you need help reviewing your recruitment processes, if you want templates for risk assessments, verbal verification records, or suitability declarations, get in touch with us here at CareSync Experts. We've got everything you need to make your recruitment CQC ready. Thank you for watching, and make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share if you found this useful. And we'll catch you on the next one.